Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Dungeon Boss Hero Rune Guide. Today we're taking a look at Lord Zomm, who is Lord of all of the Undead. He's a slow caster, legendary undead hero. And we're going to look at what makes him tick and what's the best options for runes on him. So Zomm has had a rework. Those of you probably remember, maybe a few months back. I don't remember exactly when, but he was reworked along with all of the other undead. So it switched his mechanics from a warrior, I believe at the time, to a caster. And so most people now, especially people who are novices, they see caster and they immediately think somebody like Cobalt or Shade, where we're pumping out tons of damage. Maybe not so much Cobalt anymore, but in general, casters pump out a ton of damage, and you would think, based on the traditional dark rune loadout, that you're going to go with a damage-based rune. That is partially what I'm going to debunk today. You want to focus less on attack with Zomm than anything else, really. So let's get a couple things out of the way first. His base attack is 1418. Seems kind of low compared to what the values were pre-combat revamp. For comparison's sake, 1418, you look at Shade, 1418. Shade and Zomm are tied for the highest base attack in the entire game. So no matter what you do, Zomm is going to crank out a little bit of damage. So don't worry about that too much. You don't need to pile on the attack if you don't want to. Now, if you want to put up and make a 10k attack Zomm, by all means, go ahead and do so. It's not what I would prefer, not what I would suggest. So when we think about Zomm, it's not the fact that he's a caster that makes him useful. It's that he's a disruptor, and that's what makes him so useful. The fact that his minions keep coming back every time, even if they get killed, as long as Zomm is alive, his minions are alive, and that makes him a very potent force. Paired with Shade, he is almost impossible to kill in the first turn if you have him defensively ruined. I have seen people that go attack Zomm, and he has been killed in the first round, even with Shade protection. So if you want to go attack Zomm, you do have to think about how that's going to be impacting on your PvP. And in addition to Shade protection, you might need something like Gortus protection as well. So where does that leave us then? With his individual traits, he gets increased health naturally. That is also boosted by skill. This is a huge one. So look at his health here from what I have him. 17,000 is probably about as high as you can get in the entire game when you look at tanks. There are a few others that go over 10k, but max health on him is impressive. And I would recommend you go with health and defense, because as long as he's alive, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. So the runes that I use are not indicative of the best possible runes here. If you look at his stats now, 6100 attack, 5100 defense. That's not that great. I didn't put any skill on him. If you look at the max health, you can see that Lord of the Undead is actually 27% based on his base skill. We could get that up a little bit higher if you poured some skill runes on him. I don't recommend it, but it's possible. So what I would suggest for runes, I said mine are not typical of what it would be on here because I'm not using him very much, so I just threw some stuff on here. A Bulwark is a great one to have on here. Superior Bulwark, but damage penetration PvE, kind of a useless force stat. We don't need that one particularly. Vampiric, it's a perfect 10% Vampiric. This is a great rune. So the more of these you have, the better. Health, defense is amongst the best rune you could put on Zomm, period. And then if you get the perfect 10% lifesteal combined with his existing lifesteal, he's very, very good. Fire rune, because there is no heavily defensive fire runes other than, we talked about tactics with Solaris. Pick one of your best PvP runes that you find. Attack, defense is a good one. I would tend to pick one that has plus damage reduction instead of penetration. Or if you want to get crafty, pick the incineration rune if you're going to find yourself doing a lot of basic attacks. Or, try and pick something that's just all-out attack, maybe. Nature rune, damage reduction and health is usually the best way to go. There is no bulwark for nature, so you'd have to focus on an Aegis. So a lot of damage reduction. Or if you're looking for more balance, you could throw some more attack on there. There's also Festive Rune here. Get yourself some extra energy. Or possibly If you want to commit to life, you can get health, defense. That's where you're going to get your defensive stat rather than a bulwark rune. Or if you have, if you want to go attack, defense from one of the PvP runes, that's not a bad one to do. Excuse me. That's not a bad to do either. And then take your pick with the blue one. Technically speaking, I would prefer probably the blue survivor rune because it cleanses. But any number of the high test blue ones, this elite hero rune from this previous event is going to be a really good one to put on him if you use Zomm quite a bit. If you don't use Zomm a lot, don't feel like you're going to be compelled to use your absolute best runes. For me, he is basically my tower guy. I don't use him in PvP right now. I haven't really had a need to. So he's my tower mechanic. So he gets me through the tower every single day. So based on his stats and his function, you definitely want to go with health and defense above attack. And then focus on probably balancing out here. Don't get too crazy about attack. But you know, do the best you can for balance, but a little bit more on the defensive side. So, any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave those in the comments below. Otherwise, that's all we're going to have for today. We're not going to do any PvP with him because most people have seen plenty of Zomm PvP in the past. So, we will see you again next time for a Shade review. Thanks. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting my channel. If you like this video, please show your continued support by hitting that like button, and be sure to check out both my YouTube channels for new content all the time. And always remember, peace is a lie, there's only passion. We'll see you next time.